Transmigration plus rebirth plus laid-back life plus power fantasy. Alex Thompson, 7 p.m. The Grand Summit Ballroom. The engagement party. Don't be late. The voice on the other end of the line was as cold as ice, devoid of any emotion. I jolted, sitting bolt upright in the plush bed, my mind a complete mess. Who was I? Where was I? Memories flooded in like a broken dam. Alex Thompson, an average guy from the 21st century, had been pulling an all-nighter for a project just last night. The next thing I knew, I'd opened my eyes and found myself transmigrated into a brainless power fantasy novel I'd just finished reading. And not only that, I was the ultimate punching bag villain with the same name. A privileged rich kid who was good for nothing beyond his deep pockets and a pretty face. That ice-cold beauty on the phone? She was the novel's female lead, my fiancée, the formidable CEO of Harrison Industries, Brooke Harrison. According to the original plot, at tonight's engagement party, I, the ultimate suck-up and punching bag, would make a fool of myself trying to impress Brooke. The self-made mogul Jake Maxwell, the male lead, would then swoop in to humiliate me, making me the laughingstock of the entire city. From that moment on, my life would be a downhill roller coaster, culminating in financial ruin and a tragic end. Brooke, meanwhile, would be utterly captivated by Jake Maxwell's charisma and talent, falling into his arms for a dramatic, angsty romance where she runs, he chases, neither can escape. I shivered. Screw the plot. Screw the mogul. Being a workhorse in my last life was exhausting enough. Now that I've been given the life of a top-tier rich kid with a six-pack, sculpted physique, and a face so handsome, it's almost criminal. Why on earth would I waste it being a doormat? Was I out of my mind? Hello? Alex Thompson, are you listening? Brooke's voice held a hint of impatience. She probably thought I was pulling another one of my stunts. I cleared my throat, then spoke into the phone in a tone more composed than I'd ever used before. Ms. Harrison, I think there might be a misunderstanding between us. The line went silent. She clearly hadn't expected that response. In her memory, Alex Thompson, had always been subservient, hanging on her every word, practically offering her my heart on a platter. What misunderstanding? Her voice sharpened with a touch of caution. I smiled, swung my legs off the bed, and walked barefoot across the soft wool rug to the massive floor-to-ceiling windows, gazing out at the bustling city below. The misunderstanding is I'm not interested in you, and I'm certainly not interested in Harrison Industries. So this engagement, it's off. We're done. I said it as casually as commenting on the weather. On the other end, dead silence. I could almost picture the utterly bewildered expression on Brooke's usually stoic face. After a good 10 seconds, her icy voice finally returned, laced with suspicion and scrutiny. Alex Thompson, what game are you playing now? Trying to play hard to get. Don't bother. I would never fall for someone like you. I scoffed. Ms. Harrison, you seriously overestimate yourself. I was immature before, but I've thought it through now. What would I do with an ice-cold woman like you? Marry her and treat her like a museum exhibit. As much of a jerk as I am, I'm not going to sacrifice my happiness for the rest of my life. That's it. My lawyer will send the termination agreement to your office tomorrow. Goodbye. With that, I didn't give her a chance to argue, ending the call immediately. I then silenced my phone and tossed it back onto the bed. The world was quiet. I stretched, feeling the surge of power in this young body. Six-pack abs, definitely real. The man in the mirror had sharp brows, bright eyes, and a tall nose. A face that could indeed make countless women swoon. Most importantly, the Thompson family's wealth and influence were enough for me to live more comfortably than a king in this world. As long as I didn't provoke that destined duo. Young master, are you awake? A middle-aged man in a butler's uniform respectfully knocked on the door. I recognized him as Mr. Henderson, the Thompson family's loyal house manager. Come in, Mr. Henderson. Mr. Henderson entered, carrying a perfectly pressed custom-made suit. Young master, this is your attire for tonight's engagement party. I waved a hand. Toss it. Mr. Henderson froze, his hand suspended in midair, a bewildered expression on his face. Young master, I said, toss it. I repeated, walking into my walk-in closet and pulling out a comfortable casual outfit. Also, spread the word. Fire all those ridiculous senior consultants we've been paying a fortune for. Pay them for this month, of course. Those so-called consultants were just expensive dead weight the original Alex had hired to look good for Brooke. And please book a private chef from the Gilded Spoon. Tell them I'll be there tonight to try their legendary chef's reserve steak. The engagement party. You're not going. Mr. Henderson's mouth dropped open wide enough to fit an apple. No, I clapped him on the shoulder. Mr. Henderson, starting today, I've made a decision. I'm going to live the easy life. Mr. Henderson. I didn't explain further, whistling as I walked out of the room. Living the easy life starts with enjoying a good meal. As for Brooke and that so-called mogul, I wish them all the best. Just stay on my way. The Grand Summit Ballroom. The opulent ballroom was buzzing with guests, all dressed in their finest. Brooke Harrison wore a custom-designed white evening gown, looking like a goddess on a snow-capped mountain, cool and elegant. But at this moment, her exquisite face was covered in a frosty scowl. It was already 7:15. Alex Thompson still hadn't arrived. Her phone lay silently in her clutch, no messages. This was unprecedented. That man used to stick to her like glue 24/7. How could he possibly be late for such an important engagement party? Brooke, what's going on? Where's that Thompson boy? Her father walked over, frowning, his face grim. Brooke bit her lip, unsure how to explain. Should she tell her father that Alex had called to break off their engagement? Who would believe that? Everyone in their circle knew Alex Thompson was madly in love with her, willing to do anything for her. I bet he's doing this on purpose, trying to manipulate you. Chloe Davis, Brooke's friend and a socialite from a prominent family, spoke up, her tone laced with disdain. She wore a vibrant pink dress, her features striking. Brooke said nothing, but a similar thought was forming in her mind. Playing hard to get. Alex was definitely trying to grab her attention this way, making her reach out to him. So childish and pathetic. There was no way Brooke Harrison would be manipulated by such a cheap trick. He can come or not, I don't care. Brooke retorted coolly, picked up a glass of champagne, and turned away, leaving a haughty silhouette for the onlookers. She decided, even if Alex Thompson got on his knees and begged her today, she wouldn't forgive him. Meanwhile, I was in a top-tier private dining room at the Gilded Spoon, enjoying a feast. The legendary chef's reserve steak was brought to the table, and the moment the lid was lifted, the rich aroma filled the entire room. I took a deep breath, my eyes closing in satisfaction. The work of a true master chef, indeed. I poured myself a glass of my private stock of aged bourbon, a 10-year-old vintage I'd brought. The smooth liquor glided down my throat, pairing perfectly with the rich, savory flavors of the meal. It was a divine experience. What engagement party? What ice-cold CEO? Could any of it compare to this? Young master, it's a call from the Harrison family. Mr. Henderson came in, holding a burner phone, his expression a bit strange. My private phone had been off for hours. I didn't even look up, picking up a tender piece of steak. Hang up. It's Mr. Harrison Sr. himself. Mr. Henderson whispered. I said hang up. My voice sharpened slightly. From now on, I'm not taking any calls from the Harrison family. Understood. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. Henderson jumped, nodding frantically, and quickly disconnected the call. He watched me leisurely savoring my meal, utterly perplexed. What on earth had gotten in a young master? To disrespect Mr. Harrison Sr. like this, it was truly revolutionary. At the same time, in the ballroom, Mr. Harrison Sr. hung up the phone, his face as black as thunder. Outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. That Alex Thompson's house manager dared to hang up on me. Guests nearby heard the commotion and turned their curious gazes, whispers erupting. What's going on? Has the Thompson heir still not arrived? I heard he stood up the Harrisons. That takes some nerve. A good-for-nothing rich boy. Just because his family has money, he thinks he's hot stuff? Brooke's face grew even colder, her fingers clutching the champagne glass, turning white from the force. Alex Thompson, you are really something. You've successfully infuriated me. Just then, a stir came from the ballroom entrance. A young man, dressed in an ordinary jacket, but with eyes as sharp as an eagle's, strode in. He scanned the room, his gaze finally settling on Brooke, a mischievous smirk playing on his lips. Care for a drink, beautiful? Or are you content drinking alone? Brooke frowned, about to snap at him, but Chloe, standing beside her, gasped, her eyes lighting up. Brooke, look, isn't that Jake Maxwell? The one I told you about, who's been making waves in the business world lately. Brooke felt a tremor. Jake Maxwell, the self-made man who had built a business empire from scratch in just 6 months. She looked at him, and for some reason, her heart skipped a beat. A strange sense of destiny welled up within her. And I, oblivious to all of this, couldn't have cared less. Full and content, I let out a satisfied burp. Mr. Henderson, tomorrow, please have the lakeside estate outside the city cleaned up. I plan to move there for a few days. Also, hire a few more chefs. I want culinary experts in every major tradition. I want them all. And bring out the most unassuming electric car for my garage. I'll be using that from now on. Sports cars are too noisy. Mr. Henderson took notes, his worldview slowly shattering. This wasn't living the easy life for the young master. This was like a retired dignitary's lifestyle, way ahead of schedule. The next day, I woke up feeling refreshed on my sprawling bed. Sunlight streamed through the huge windows, warm and pleasant. No annoying calls, no icy commands, just birdsong and the scent of flowers. This feeling was absolutely exhilarating. I was about to head to the gym when Mr. Henderson knocked and entered, his expression even stranger than yesterday's. Young master, Ms. Harrison. Ms. Harrison is here. I raised an eyebrow. Brooke Harrison? What was she doing here? To chew me out? According to the original plot, by now, she should have been making eyes at Jake Maxwell. Why would she have time to seek out a minor character like me? Tell her to wait. I waved a lazy hand and walked into the gym. An hour later, I emerged, drenched in sweat and feeling completely invigorated. In the living room, Brooke sat upright, her back ramrod straight, dressed in a sharp business suit. She looked like a snow lotus poised to unleash icy winds at any moment. When she saw me, clad in a tank top and shorts, my hair still damp, her beautiful brows immediately furrowed. Her eyes held undisguised disgust and disdain. Alex Thompson, have you had enough of your little tantrum? She began with her usual condescending, interrogative tone. I grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge, chugged half of it, then lazily looked at her. Ms. Harrison, what are you talking about? What tantrum? Why didn't you show up to the engagement party last night? She demanded, her voice frigid. I smiled. Ms. Harrison, I made it pretty clear on the phone yesterday, didn't I? We're terminating the engagement. Since it's off, why would I go to the party? To watch you and your new fling flirting. You. Brooke was so choked up she couldn't speak, her chest heaving. She took a deep breath, seemingly trying to suppress her rage. Where's the engagement termination agreement? She said, extending a hand, her tone cold. Oh, that. I slapped my forehead. Forgot. Brooke's voice shot up. She couldn't believe her ears. Such an important matter. And he said he forgot? Yeah. I looked innocently. Yesterday, I was too busy enjoying the chef's reserve steak. It was so delicious, I had no time to think of anything else. You haven't tried it, have you, Ms. Harrison? TSK, a real shame. Brooke glared at me, her eyes wanting to bore holes through me. She realized that the Alex Thompson in front of her was completely different from the one in her memory. The old him always looked at her with adoration and eagerness, speaking cautiously, afraid to displease her. But now his eyes were clear, his demeanor relaxed, and his words were full of mockery and indifference. Yes, indifference. As if she, Brooke Harrison, was no different from a stray cat or dog to him. This immense shift left her feeling an unprecedented irritation and loss of control. Alex Thompson, I don't have time for your games. The agreement. Give it to me now. What's the rush? I walked up to her, looking down at her. Ms. Harrison, do you perhaps think I can't live without you? Brooke didn't speak, but her arrogant expression said it all. I leaned down close to her ear and whispered in a voice only we could hear. Too bad. You've got it all wrong. The world doesn't revolve around you. And your so-called Ice Queen persona? To me, it just screams frigid. The warm breath on her ear made Brooke stiffen, her cheeks instantly flushing crimson. Not from shyness, but from fury. In her entire life, no one had ever dared to be so flippant, so disrespectful to her. You scoundrel. She sprang up abruptly, her heel twisting from the hasty movement, and her body swayed backward, out of control. I instinctively reached out, circling her soft waist with my arm. Nice feel. Just a bit too thin, it felt bony. Brooke crashed into a firm, warm embrace, inhaling a fresh scent of sweat and a faint masculine musk. Her mind went blank. She could clearly feel the hard muscle lines on his arm through the thin fabric. This was the useless Alex Thompson. When did he get such a good physique? Ms. Harrison, no need to throw yourself at me so eagerly, is there? My teasing voice sounded above her head. Brooke snapped out of her daze, pushing me away as if electrified, her face alternating between red and white. Who's throwing themselves at you? Let go of me. I released her easily, spreading my hands in an expression that said, "You're the one who came at me." "I'll have Mr. Henderson deliver the agreement to your company tomorrow," I announced, effectively dismissing her. "Now, you can leave. Take care. No need for me to see you out." Brooke regained her footing awkwardly, trembling with anger at my unyielding demeanor. Before coming, she had envisioned countless possibilities. Alex would be sobbing, begging for her forgiveness. Alex would be hysterically questioning her. Alex would try to harass her in an even more desperate way. But she had never imagined he would be so utterly indifferent. She felt like she was punching a pillow, all her strength wasted. "Fine, Alex Thompson, you just wait. You'll regret this." After dropping this utterly pointless threat, Brooke stalked out on her heels, not looking back. I watched her retreating figure, and I shook my head. "Regret? You're the one who'll be regretting this, my former fiancée." With Brooke gone, my mood soared. Humming a tune, I began planning my grand project of living the easy life. First, food. Food is paramount. I neglected my stomach in my last life. This time, I had to make up for it. I had Mr. Henderson contact the country's top private chefs, signing long-term contracts for them to rotate cooking for me. Then, living arrangements. The downtown penthouse was too noisy, so I moved directly to the lakeside estate with a natural hot spring. It was nestled by mountains and water, the air fresh, and it had a massive natural hot spring pool, a perfect retirement haven. Finally, hobbies. I had Mr. Henderson gather various traditional brewing recipes. I planned to make my own wine. Whiskey, fruit wine, homemade rose. Just looking at the recipes, I was already excited. Mr. Henderson looked at my list, completely stunned. "Young master, are you enjoying life?" I patted his shoulder, speaking earnestly. "Mr. Henderson, in life, happiness is the most important thing." Mr. Henderson nodded, still not quite understanding. He just felt that his young master had been a completely different person since he skipped out on the engagement party. Though his actions seemed more unconventional, his eyes were infinitely brighter than before. It was an inner relaxation and joy. That afternoon, I soaked in the outdoor hot spring, sipping a tall glass of sweet tea, gazing at the distant green mountains and clear waters. I felt like life had reached its peak. Just then, my new phone rang. It was an unknown number. I answered it casually, putting it on speaker. "Hello, who is this?" "Is this Mr. Alex Thompson? My name is Lily Smith." "Lily Smith?" I paused, then dug that name out of a corner of my memory. In the original novel, she was a minor female character who appeared for less than 3 chapters. A socialite whose family had fallen on hard times. Because she was beautiful, the original Alex had tried to force her into a sugar daddy arrangement, only to be heroically rescued by the male lead, Jake Maxwell, who in turn humiliated the original Alex. Wait, the plot seemed off. I hadn't even gotten around to provoking her yet. Why was she calling me? "Ms. Smith? Do we know each other?" I asked, playing dumb. Lily on the other end seemed a bit nervous, her voice growing quieter. No, we don't. But Mr. Thompson, I wanted to ask for your help." "Help?" I chuckled. "We're strangers. Why should I help you?" I can pay you," she quickly said. "I know a food truck that makes the best spicy Korean barbecue tacos in the city. I'd like to treat you." This girl, was her thought process a little unique? Offering a plate of tacos to ask for help from a billionaire? Interesting. What kind of help? I grew a little curious. My younger brother is in the hospital, and he needs a lot of money for surgery. I heard that you were looking for a culinary assistant, and the pay is very good. Do you think could I apply?" I can cook a lot of dishes. I know a little about all the major culinary traditions. I was silent. So that was it. In the original, her brother did get seriously ill, and that's why she was desperate and cornered by the original Alex. I hadn't realized the timeline had moved up so much. Where are those tacos you mentioned? I suddenly asked. Lily paused. Huh. Send me the address. I'll go try them tonight. If they're good, I might consider your request. With that, I hung up. It wasn't that I was being a good Samaritan. It was because I suddenly remembered that the original novel mentioned in passing that Lily's grandfather was a former imperial chef who retired and lived in seclusion. Her little bit of cooking might not be so simple. For the sake of my appetite, I could help with this. That evening, I followed the address. My driver took the unassuming electric car to a bustling night market, full of life. As soon as I got out of the car, I smelled the rich aroma of cumin and chili spices wafting through the air. I immediately spotted the taco stand. In front of it, a girl in a white sundress was anxiously looking around. The girl had fair skin, delicate features, and eyes like a young deer, clear and pure. When she saw me, her eyes lit up, and she quickly scurried over. Mr. Thompson, Mr. Thompson. It was Lily Smith. She was even more beautiful in person than I had imagined, a gentle, welcoming beauty that was utterly non-threatening. That's me. I nodded. You actually came. She looked surprised and delighted, two cute dimples appearing on her cheeks. 2 spicy Korean barbecue tacos, extra hot, I told the vendor directly. Soon, 2 perfectly grilled, crispy on the outside, tender on the inside tacos, loaded with toppings, were handed over. I took one, biting into it. The tortilla was perfectly charred, the meat tender and succulent, bursting with flavor. The spice level was just right. A touch more would be overpowering, a touch less would be bland. Delicious. My eyes lit up, and I quickly devoured one. Lily watched me nervously, her hands clutching the hem of her dress. How is it? Is it good? It's okay. I wiped my mouth, feigning nonchalance. Given your sincerity, I'll grant your request. Really? Her eyes widened in surprise. Report to my estate tomorrow. I'll send you the address. As for your salary, I thought for a moment. I'll pay you the amount your brother needs for his surgery, paid monthly. Lily's eyes immediately welled up. She bowed deeply to me. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. You're such a good person. I waved a hand. No need for the good person card. I was just an ordinary rich kid living the easy life, looking to satisfy my gourmet cravings. Lily's arrival elevated the quality of my laid-back life by several notches. She was a true gem. Not only was she a superb cook, effortlessly mastering all the major culinary traditions, but she also constantly whipped up new and delicious pastries. More importantly, her personality was sweet and gentle, her temper excellent, and her 2 dimples when she smiled were incredibly endearing. My daily routine became eating, soaking in a hot spring, and watching Lily cook. Occasionally, I'd even step in myself, showing off a few brewing techniques I'd learned from ancient recipes. Lily would sit on a small stool nearby, propping up her chin, watching me like a curious kitten. Alex, you're so amazing. You even know how to brew wine. After spending more time together, she now dared to call me by my first name. Basic stuff, I said, feigning deep thought but feeling pleased inside. Is this berry wine? It smells so good. She leaned closer like a little cat, sniffing the freshly opened wine crock. Want to try some? I raised an eyebrow. She nodded frantically. I poured her a small glass. The milky white liquid gave off a sweet, fruity aroma. She took a careful sip, her eyes instantly sparkling. It's so good. Sweet, not harsh at all. Seeing her satisfied expression, my mood brightened. If you like it, have more. Turns out, the girl couldn't hold her liquor. After just a small glass of berry wine, a flush of pink colored her fair cheeks, and her eyes grew hazy. She suddenly leaned closer to me, reaching out a delicate finger to poke my abs. Wow, they're hard. This girl, she got so bold when she was drunk. Alex, you have such a nice body, she giggled, her fingers still mischievously exploring my torso. My body stiffened, a rush of heat uncontrollably surging to my lower abdomen. Damn it, this body was far too honest. I caught her wandering hand, my voice a little hoarse. Don't move. Why not? She tilted her head, looking at me with innocent, watery eyes full of confusion. Because I took a deep breath, then scooped her up from the floor. She was light like a cloud. Because if you keep moving, I'll be tempted to throw you into the hot spring and simmer you. I carried her back to her room, placed her on the bed, and pulled the covers over her. Looking at her peaceful sleeping face, I smiled helplessly and turned to leave. Self-control, Alex. This is a wholesome story. The next day, Lily woke up with no memory of what she'd done. But whenever she saw me, her face would inexplicably flush. I didn't point it out, continuing to enjoy the delicious meals she prepared. Days like this were peaceful and beautiful, until an unwelcome guest arrived. That day, I was sunbathing in the yard when Mr. Henderson led a man in a crisp suit into the courtyard. "Young master, this is Mr. Miller, Ms. Harrison's assistant from Harrison Industries." I opened my eyes and saw a man with gold-rimmed glasses and a sharp, astute look. "Mr. Thompson, good day." Mr. Miller bowed respectfully, his demeanor impeccable. "Our Ms. Harrison would like to ask for your help." I chuckled. "Brooke Harrison? What does she want now?" Mr. Miller pushed up his glasses and said, "The company has recently run into a major problem. A critical overseas project was suddenly unilaterally terminated by our partner, leading to a huge funding gap. We've discovered that Jake Maxwell is behind this." Jake Maxwell, the male lead, was finally making his move. According to the original plot, this crisis was a deliberate setup by him to play the hero and win over the Ice Queen. He would appear when Brooke was at her most desperate, turn the tide, and completely capture her heart. So, I asked lazily, "Her funding is cut. What's it got to do with me? I'm not a bank." Mr. Miller's expression was a bit awkward. "Ms. Harrison's intention is she hopes the Thompson family can help out, given our past relationship. If we can overcome this crisis, Ms. Harrison is willing to consider getting back together with you." "Get back together?" I burst out laughing as if I'd heard the biggest joke in the world. "Ha ha 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 ha." Mr. Miller looked at me, utterly confused by my laughter. "Mr. Miller, go back and tell Brooke Harrison," I said, my laughter fading, my eyes turning cold. "First, there is no past relationship between us. Second, if she wants my help, fine. She needs to come and beg me herself. Third, and most importantly, tell her, forget getting back together. Even if she's stripped naked and lay in my bed right now." I complained she was taking up space. "Now get lost." Mr. Miller practically fled. I could imagine how spectacular Brooke Harrison's face would be when he relayed my exact words. Lily walked over with a plate of freshly cut fruit, looking at me with some concern. "Alex, was that a bit too harsh?" "What's harsh about it?" I picked up a slice of watermelon, saying nonchalantly, "She came here looking for trouble. I just satisfied her request." Lily nodded, half understanding, and didn't ask further. She was smart, knowing what to ask and what not to ask. I like her sense of discretion. "By the way, has her brother's surgery been scheduled?" I changed the subject. At the mention of her brother, Lily's face immediately broke into a grateful smile. "Yes, it's all arranged for next week. The doctor says the success rate is very high." "Alex, thank you so much, really." "Thank me for what?" "You cook for me. I pay you. It's fair and square." I waved a hand. Looking at her heartfelt smile, I felt the money was well spent. That afternoon, I was researching a new brewing recipe when Mr. Henderson returned. This time, his expression was even more dramatic, as if he'd seen a ghost. Young master," he stammered. "Ms. Harrison, she came herself." I looked up and indeed saw Brooke Harrison standing at the courtyard gate. She had shed her cold business attire for a simple, elegant dress, and even wore light makeup, attempting to soften her appearance. Unfortunately, the arrogance and resentment in her eyes still betrayed her. She probably thought that by lowering herself to come in person, she was giving me an immense amount of respect. Too bad, she was mistaken. In my eyes, her respect was worth nothing. I ignored her, continuing to pore over my brewing recipe. Lily looked between me and Brooke at the gate, a little unsure what to do. "Alex, go, get her a glass of water," I instructed without looking up. "Oh," Lily meekly went. Brooke stood there, her face alternating between green and pale. She, the esteemed CEO of Harrison Industries, had personally come to my estate, and this jerk, Alex Thompson, dared to treat her with such disrespect. She took a deep breath, then walked in on her heels, stopping in front of me. Alex Thompson, we need to talk. I acted as if I hadn't heard her, mumbling to myself, the glutinous rice needs to soak for 12 hours first, and the heat control is crucial. Alex Thompson. Brooke raised her voice. I finally looked up, an impatient expression on my face. Ms. Harrison, you're being very loud. You know that? You're interrupting my academic research. Academic research. Brewing wine counted as academic research. Brooke was so angry she nearly spit blood. Just then, Lily came over with a glass of plain water, carefully handing it to her. Ms. Harrison, please have some water. Brooke saw Lily, and a flicker of jealousy and disdain crossed her eyes. She recognized this woman. Lily's photo had been in the investigation report Mr. Miller gave her a few days ago, a down-on-her-luck socialite who needed to work to earn money. Alex Thompson rejected her for this kind of woman. Was he out of his mind? Who are you? Do you have say in this? Brooke said coldly to Lily. Lily flinched, startled by Brooke's icy gaze, and looked at me for help. I put down my recipe, stood up, and walked to Lily's side, pulling her into my embrace. Then I looked at Brooke, my gaze chilling. Ms. Harrison, allow me to introduce you. This is Lily Smith, my culinary assistant. She's my person. Now, tell me, does she have the right to speak here? My actions and words were like two resounding slaps, brutally striking Brooke's face. She watched me protect Lily, saw Lily's demure, bird-like posture in my arms. A wave of unprecedented humiliation and anger surged through her. Once upon a time, that embrace was exclusively hers. That man only looked at her with such cherished eyes. But now everything had changed. Alex Thompson, do you really have to humiliate me like this? Her voice trembled slightly. Humiliate? I chuckled. Ms. Harrison, are you misunderstanding something? From beginning to end, you've been humiliating yourself. You arrogantly believe the whole world should revolve around you. You thought you could just snap your fingers and I'd still come running like a dog like before. I'm telling you, that's never going to happen again. Take your pride and dignity and get out of my place. You're not welcome here. My words were cutting, each one piercing her heart. Brooke's face instantly turned ashen. Brooke left, her retreating figure desolate, carrying a mix of resentment and defeat. I watched her disappear through the gate, not a ripple in my heart. If only she had known then what she knew now. Alex, were you too harsh on her? Lily asked softly from my embrace. I looked down at her, seeing genuine concern in her big eyes. I pinched her cheek, smiling. You're just too kind-hearted. When dealing with self-important women like that, you can't leave them any room for fantasy. Otherwise, they'll cling to you like a persistent leech endlessly. Lily nodded, still not quite understanding, but obediently said nothing further. I like her obedience. In the following days, Brooke Harrison didn't bother me again. I heard that Harrison Industries' crisis worsened, stock prices plummeted, and banks were demanding loan repayments. She was utterly overwhelmed. And the self-made mogul Jake Maxwell finally made his grand entrance, as per the script. He publicly announced a strategic investment in Harrison Industries. Calling it an investment was merely a polite way of saying he intended to seize the opportunity, swallowing Harrison Industries at the lowest possible cost. Brooke, of course, wasn't foolish. She saw Jake Maxwell's ambition, but had no other choice. She refused Jake Maxwell. This infuriated Jake Maxwell. In his eyes, he was condescendingly coming to rescue her. She should have accepted gratefully. How dared she refuse? So, he intensified his pressure. Overnight, the entire business world was watching the Harrisons' downfall. Mr. Henderson told me all these tidbits as gossip. I just smiled after hearing them, continuing my grand brewing project. That day, a new batch of my peach wine was finally ready. The moment the jar was opened, the entire courtyard filled with a delightful fragrance. I poured a glass for Lily. She took a sip, her eyes happily closing. Wow, it's so good. It tastes like peaches. Naturally, I picked the peaches myself to make this, I said proudly. We sat in the courtyard, facing the green mountains and clear waters, enjoying the wine and pastries. A tiny kitten eyed just rescued, was rolling at our feet. The scene was perfectly harmonious and beautiful. Suddenly, the roar of an engine shattered the tranquility. A flashy red Ferrari pulled up to the gate of my estate. The car door opened, and a man dressed in designer clothes, with slick back hair, looking like he owned the place, radiating main character energy, stepped out. It was Jake Maxwell. Behind him, looking humiliated and resentful, was Brooke Harrison. I raised an eyebrow. Well, the main characters have teamed up to confront me. The villain? Jake Maxwell strode in, saw me, then glanced at Lily beside me. A flicker of surprise crossed his eyes, quickly replaced by intense disdain. "You're Alex Thompson?" He scrutinized me with a condescending gaze, his tone full of arrogant superiority. I couldn't be bothered to respond, continuing to play with the kitten at my feet. Ignored, Jake Maxwell's face darkened. "I'm talking to you, you coward who hides behind women." I finally looked up, giving him a cool glance. "Who are you? State your name." "I, Alex Thompson, don't talk to nobodies." "You." Jake Maxwell was incensed. "Listen up. I am Jake Maxwell, CEO of Genesis Enterprises." "Oh, Jake Maxwell." I nodded, as if in sudden realization. "Never heard of you." Lily beside me couldn't help but giggle. She quickly covered her mouth, but her crescent moon eyes betrayed her amusement. Jake Maxwell's face instantly turned a deep shade of crimson. He, the great Jake Maxwell, was used to being the center of attention wherever he went. Today, he was being publicly humiliated by a mere rich kid. "Alex Thompson, I'm here today to give you a chance." He suppressed his rage, pointing at Brooke behind him. "If you get on your knees right now and apologize to Brooke and transfer half of your family's assets to Harrison Industries, I might consider letting you off the hook." I looked at him as if he were an idiot. "Did a donkey kick you in the head? You want me to kneel and apologize? Transfer assets? Who do you think you are? You actually think you can make demands of me?" I stood up, walking closer to him step by step. My height advantage allowed me to completely loom over him. "Jake Maxwell, right? I don't care if you're some Genesis or Doomsday Mobile. I'll tell you one thing." My voice wasn't loud, but it was filled with an undeniable sense of menace. "This is my property. Now, take your woman and get out. Immediately. Leave my property. Otherwise, I won't mind having both of you carried out horizontally." The air seemed to freeze. Jake Maxwell's eyes widened, looking at me in disbelief. Since he started his career, he had been invincible, relying on his foresight and ruthless tactics. He had never been treated like this before. A rich kid he considered an ant dared to tell him to get out? "You're asking for it." Jake Maxwell roared, swinging his fist as big as a casserole dish straight at my face. According to the original plot, I, the weakling, would be sent flying by his punch, then stomped on and thoroughly humiliated. Unfortunately, the current me was not the original Alex. I worked out daily, and my physical fitness was far superior. Facing his ferocious punch, I simply shifted my body slightly, easily dodging it. At the same time, I struck like lightning, grabbing his wrist and giving it a slight twist. Crack! A crisp sound of bone cracking echoed. Ah! Jake Maxwell let out a blood-curdling scream, his entire face contorted in agony. My hand is broken." He clutched his deformed wrist, writhing on the ground in pain. The entire process was lightning fast. Brooke and Lily, standing nearby, were stunned. Especially Brooke. Her mouth hung open, her beautiful eyes filled with shock. This was still the supposedly helpless Alex Thompson. When did he become so strong? Annoying. I frowned in disgust, kicking Jake Maxwell in the stomach. He immediately doubled over like a shrimp, his scream caught in his throat, unable to escape. I walked up to him, crouched down, and patted his face, which was twisted in pain. "Jake Maxwell, didn't you hear what I just said? I told you to get out. It seems you don't know how to get out. Do I need to teach you?" My tone was calm, but the coldness in my eyes sent Jake Maxwell plummeting into an icy abyss. He was terrified. From my eyes, he saw undisguised killing intent. This man wasn't kidding. If he didn't get out now, he would really be killed. I'll go. He scrambled to his feet, ignoring his broken wrist and Brooke behind him, rushing toward his Ferrari like a scared dog. However, just as he ran a few steps, I called out to him. Stop. Jake Maxwell froze, then turned back, trembling. Leave the car. I pointed to the red Ferrari. Consider it. A cleaning fee for dirtying my courtyard. Jake Maxwell's face turned white, but he dared not argue. He could only escape from my estate, crying, scrambling, and without his car. The farce concluded. I turned and looked at Brooke, who was still frozen in place. Her gaze at me was complex. There was shock, fear, and a hint of an unfamiliar light she hadn't even noticed herself. You, why are you? She murmured, seemingly wanting to ask why I'd become so strong. Why? I chuckled, walking toward her, because I no longer wanted to be a useless pawn to be manipulated. Is that reason enough? I leaned closer to her, lowering my voice. Brooke Harrison, do you see now? This is the man you chose. A coward who abandoned you and ran when danger struck. And you, for someone like that, gave up on me. Tell me, aren't you absolutely ridiculous? Brooke trembled, her face deathly pale, her lips quivering, unable to utter a single word. I ignored her, turning to Lily. Lily was looking at me with adoring eyes, full of little stars. Alex, you were so cool just now. She made me laugh. I reached out and ruffled her hair. That's right. Come on. Don't let these irrelevant people spoil our wine-tasting pleasure. I took her hand and led her back to the stone table in the courtyard, as if nothing had happened. Only Brooke was left, standing alone, watching our intimate backs, her eyes for the first time revealing an emotion called regret. From that day on, my world became completely peaceful. Jake Maxwell, with a broken hand, didn't dare to show his face again. Brooke Harrison also disappeared. I heard that Harrison Industries' crisis was eventually resolved only after Mr. Harrison Sr. humbled himself and begged a few old family friends for help. But the company was severely weakened, falling from a top-tier conglomerate to a second-rate one. None of this concerned me. My daily life consisted of researching gourmet food, brewing fine wines, playing with my cat, and teasing Lily. Little foodie, open up. I forked a piece of freshly baked lavender scone and held it to her mouth. Lily's cheeks flushed slightly, and she obediently opened her mouth and took a bite. Delicious. She happily closed her eyes. My special nickname for her was Little Foodie, and she, behind my back, secretly called me Big Boss, because I always liked to tease her, watching her blush and flutter, looking adorable. Our pets also got together before us. The tiny kitten I rescued clung to Lily's ragdoll cat all day, inseparable, looking completely like a little sidekick. That day, Lily's brother's surgery was successful, and he was discharged from the hospital. To thank me, she specifically prepared an extremely lavish dinner. Every dish was made with her heart and soul. We drank the peach wine I'd personally brewed, and the atmosphere was perfect. Lily's cheeks were a lovely pink from the alcohol, and her eyes sparkled. Alex, she suddenly began, her voice soft and sweet. Can I ask you a question? Ask away. Why? Why are you so good to me? She mustered her courage, looking into my eyes. I smiled, put down my wine glass, and looked at her seriously. Because you're worth it. You're kind, pure, and beautiful like an angel. Being with you, I feel comfortable and relaxed. So, I want to be good to you. I want to protect you. I don't want you to suffer any harm. My words were direct and sincere. Lily's eyes instantly turned red. She looked at me, the light in her eyes brighter than any star in the sky. Alex, she suddenly stood up, walked around the table to my side, and then, to my stunned gaze, leaned down and gently kissed my lips. Soft, sweet, with a fragrance of peach wine. It was a spark that ignited a flame. She flushed, lowered her head, not daring to look at me. This is my payment to you. I froze for a few seconds, then chuckled. I reached out, pulled her into my arms, holding her tightly. Silly girl, that payment isn't enough. I whispered in her ear, my voice hoarse. You'll have to pay me back for a lifetime. Her body trembled slightly in my arms. And then, in a voice barely audible, she responded. At that moment, the moonlight outside was perfect, the peach wine in the courtyard fragrant, and the beautiful woman in my arms was soft and warm. I felt as if I owned the entire world. My relationship with Lily was thus established. Life became even sweeter. We researched recipes together, brewed wine together, went to the mountains to pick the freshest ingredients, and curled up on the sofa to watch old movies. My lakeside estate was filled with laughter every day. Mr. Henderson always had a fond, paternal smile on his face when he saw us. He told me more than once, "Young master, you truly seem alive now." Yes, the old Alex, whether the original character or the newly transmigrated me, had been an empty shell. It was Lily who, with her sunshine and warmth, filled my heart. That day, there was a grand charity gala in the city. The host was an old friend of Lily's grandfather, and he specifically sent an invitation, inviting us to attend. I originally didn't want to go to such a boring event, but Lily said she wanted to see it. She wanted to formally introduce me to everyone she knew. I looked at her eager eyes, my heart softening. "Okay, whatever you want." On the night of the gala, I wore a perfectly tailored suit, while Lily wore a custom-made starry blue evening gown I had designed for her. The gown was adorned with tiny diamonds that glittered under the lights, making her look like a fairy stepping out of the Milky Way. The moment we entered, we attracted everyone's attention. "Oh my God, who is that man? He's so handsome. And the girl next to him is so beautiful. They're like a match made in heaven. Wait, that man. Isn't that Alex Thompson from the Thompson family? No way. Isn't Alex Thompson a good-for-nothing playboy? How could he have such an aura?" Amidst the whispers, I, oblivious to the stares, held Lily's hand and walked to the dessert table, starting to feed her various small cakes. "This tiramisu is good, try it. This mousse is too sweet, don't eat it." Lily happily enjoyed my feeding, completely unfazed by the surrounding gazes. Nearby, young women, watching our sweet interactions, excitedly covered their mouths, letting out small squeals. "Ah, so sweet. I'm totally shipping them. What kind of divine love is this? I want a boyfriend who's so handsome and feeds me." Just then, a discordant voice rang out. "Alex Thompson." I turned and saw a familiar yet unfamiliar figure. Brooke Harrison. She was here too. She wore a black evening gown, looking thinner and more haggard than before. Her gaze was fixed on my hand, intertwined with Lily's, her eyes filled with complex emotions, jealousy, resentment, and a deep regret she herself might not have yet fully processed. Behind her, Jake Maxwell followed, his face grim. His hand was still in a cast. Talk about an unfortunate reunion. "Something wrong?" I asked blandly, not even bothering to give her an extra glance. Brooke looked at me, her lips moving as if to speak. But Jake Maxwell cut her off, pointing at me, shouting with false bravado, "Alex Thompson, you coward. What kind of skill was that cheap shot last time? Today, I'll make you realize the consequences of offending me." Jake Maxwell. As soon as he finished speaking, several bodyguards in black suits emerged from the crowd, surrounding us. The gala guests scattered in fright, and the scene descended into chaos. Lily, a little scared, gripped my arm tighter. I patted her hand, reassuring her. Then, I looked at Jake Maxwell as if he were a clown. "Just these few scrubs." Jake Maxwell. It seems last time's lesson wasn't profound enough. "You." Jake Maxwell was enraged by my disdain. "Get him. Take him down. I'll take responsibility for whatever happens." The bodyguards exchanged glances, then charged at me. I shielded Lily behind me, ready to act. Suddenly, an old but powerful voice boomed across the hall. "Who dares lay a hand on my granddaughter's husband?" As the voice fell silent, the crowd automatically parted, creating a path. An elderly man in a traditional Chinese suit, looking hale and hearty, emanating authority, strode over, surrounded by a group of people. Seeing the elder, the entire hall erupted in murmurs. "It's Mr. Smith. Why is he here? My God, it really is the legendary Mr. Smith. He's a national treasure." What did he just say? Granddaughter's husband? Who's his granddaughter's husband? Under everyone's shocked gazes, Mr. Smith walked directly to us. He first gave Lily a loving look, then his gaze settled on me, a satisfied smile appearing on his face. "Good man. You've got my old spirit." Lily, blushing, squeezed my hand and softly introduced, "Alex, this is my grandfather." I quickly and respectfully greeted him. "Hello, Grandpa." Mr. Smith nodded approvingly. Then, he turned, his sharp gaze sweeping over Jake Maxwell. So, you the young punk who wants to lay hands on my granddaughter's husband? Jake Maxwell was completely dumbfounded. Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, the legendary figure with unparalleled connections in both politics and business. Lily was his granddaughter? Then Alex Thompson. Wouldn't that mean? A chill ran down Jake Maxwell's spine, straight to his head. He was finished. He had provoked someone he absolutely could not afford to provoke. Mr. Smith. A misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. He was so terrified he stammered incoherently, his legs giving out, and he felt his knees. Brooke Harrison was also stunned. She looked at Lily, protectively held by Mr. Smith, then at Jake Maxwell, kneeling on the ground in a pathetic display. Finally, her gaze fell on me, the man she had scorned, abandoned, and considered worthless. Now, he stood there, composed and calm, accepting everyone's attention. The girl by his side came from a family 100 times more prominent than hers. He himself was no longer the pushover she could manipulate. He had become powerful, dazzling, and utterly out of her reach. It turned out the clown had always been herself. It turned out what she had missed was the best man in the world, one she could never reach again. Overwhelming regret, like a tidal wave, completely drowned her. Her vision swam, and she fell straight backward, unconscious. The gala's chaos ended with Jake Maxwell being dragged away by Mr. Smith's men and Brooke Harrison collapsing on the spot. The next day, the entire upper echelon was abuzz. Genesis Enterprises went bankrupt overnight, and Jake Maxwell disappeared without a trace, rumored to have vanished. Harrison Industries was also affected, its stock plummeting again, nearing bankruptcy. And I, Alex Thompson, the once notorious useless playboy, became the focus of everyone's discussion. The Thompson heir is actually Mr. Smith's granddaughter's husband. No wonder he dared to break off the engagement with the Harrisons. He found a much better match. What do you mean, better match? Didn't you see Mr. Smith's attitude towards him? It was pure admiration. I think Alex Thompson himself is no ordinary man. I ignored the external commotion. I continued living my easy life. Only now, I had a lawfully wedded wife by my side. We held a small wedding at the lakeside estate, attended only by close friends and family. No lavish display, no media flashes, just warm sunlight and the most sincere blessings. Lily wore a pristine white wedding dress, looking like a true angel. Looking at her, I felt my life was complete. Married life was even sweeter. Lily fully embraced her devoted to her mom's side, video calling her mother for an hour every day to share every little detail of our lives. And I, meanwhile, became utterly engrossed in my brewing endeavors. My cellar was filled with all sorts of wine jars. Whiskey, fruit wine, berry wine. A dazzling array. Occasionally, I would open a new batch, and Lily and I would sit in the courtyard, sipping under the moonlight. Her alcohol tolerance was still low. She'd get tipsy after just a little. When drunk, she loved to hug me, poke my abs, and call me her big boss. And I would always carry her back to her room. And then, self-control. This is a wholesome story. The honeymoon chapter can fill in the wedding night. It was another bright and sunny afternoon. I lay in the rocking chair in the courtyard, leisurely soaking up the sun. Lily leaned against me, engrossed in a book. The kitten and a ragdoll cat chased each other at her feet. Such was the beauty of a tranquil life. Suddenly, Mr. Henderson came in, his expression a bit hesitant. Young master, outside. Ms. Harrison is asking to see you. I opened my eyes, frowning. Her again. I'm not seeing her, she said. She just wants to see you one last time. Mr. Henderson whispered. Harrison Industries has filed for bankruptcy. I was silent for a moment. Lily looked up at me, understandingly saying, go see her just to get closure. I sighed, kissing her forehead. I'll be right back. At the estate gate, Brooke Harrison stood. She wore a simple cotton dress, her face bare, her hair tied back simply. The once ice queen now looked like an ordinary girl next door. Only her face was etched with weariness and a sense of hardship. You came. Seeing me, she forced a smile that was worse than a frown. Something wrong. My tone was still flat. I'm leaving here tomorrow, she said, her head down, her voice very soft. Before I go, I just want to ask you one question. When When did you really start becoming like this? She still wasn't willing to let go. She wanted to know where she had gone wrong. I looked at her, suddenly feeling a little ridiculous. Brooke Harrison, do you still not understand? I never changed. What changed were your eyes and your heart. Before, you couldn't see anything good in me. Now, you've lost it, and only now do you start to miss it. It's just a shame there's no going back in this world. With that, I didn't look at her again, turning and heading back into the courtyard. Behind me, I heard her suppressed sobs, but I didn't turn back. Some people, once missed, are gone for a lifetime. I returned to the courtyard. Lily was waiting for me in the sunlight, holding the kitten. Seeing me return, she gave me a radiant smile. I walked over, scooping her and the cat into my arms. Come on, let's go home. Under the sun, our shadows stretched long, very long. From then on, my world held only good food, fine wine, and her. And